Welcome, everyone. So good to see everyone. So many people still coming. It's good for me to see everyone. So I forgot to set myself up here to we're sitting. So pardon my leaning over my equipment. Let's take a few minutes to settle and enjoy the great gift of sitting together. As we sit together, I'm going to invite you to simply attend to the usual, your body, your breath, without attempting to manipulate anything other than sitting somewhat still and upright, and really notice in the way that we often recommend, like what is the state of your body right now? And just noticing without leaning into it or away from it, without distraction, just noticing areas of ease or pleasure, areas of maybe discomfort or tension, even pain, just noticing. your embodied present realities that, of course, change all the time, but attend to this space in which your body lives and maybe the quality of your own heart, which has been very center of my awareness recently. Your beating, embodied heart, but also that image we use of your emotional life without judgment, without getting caught in the preferences which arise, just noticing. And similarly, the quality of your mind, your thoughts, just noticing. In other words, immersing yourself as fully as you're able into your present embodied reality, resting in your humanity completely with all that it brings, including all the ideas you have about it. And as you do, in just this very brief time, settle into your embodied presence. Do you also remember your nature as a Buddha? That which is untouched by any of the experience that you're now noticing. It's more of the space in which it's all occurring. Some people think of it as resting in their humanity, but not forgetting their divinity at the same time. If it's a little difficult, and if you're too wrapped up in your embodied immediacy and all that you're noticing, you can always open your eyes. Because there's probably going to be someone on the screen, some friend, in whom you can see that unblemished beauty, knowing full well their humanity. And maybe it will invite your own true nature to come forward as you see theirs without denying anything of your limited human life. We also stay very close to the inconceivable, unlimited, unblemished presence, the very essence of you, which of course isn't even you. The vastness from which we all emerge, into which we return with each breath. This is our zazen, to sit down and to sit up and to sit quietly so that we can feel the fullness of our humanity, not get away from it, not change it, not improve it. Feel the fullness of your humanity. And at the same time, remember your nature as a Buddha, which you also express with your posture. In many ways, this is all you need to know. And we practice together to remind each other and to support and encourage each other. If you would join me in reciting the four practice principles to begin with this time. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. Holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Well, last week, those of you that were with us, I guess I tempted fate by talking about I just can't take any more. And if you don't mind, to begin with, let me just tell you the recap because everybody's asking, so I can, just so you know what happened, instead of wondering about it or strange stories getting around. And I'll hopefully not take too much time with this, but on Friday after a lovely 4th of July lunch with friends, came home and I could tell my heart was beating unusually. I have atrial fibrillation, so sometimes that happens and I'm aware of it. And so I did what my cardiologist said to do. I took an extra beta blocker. Um, but it kept on with the tachycardia rate was really high. And it started to get really uncomfortable. So I also drank my electrolytes, which are supposedly help, and did all the things I knew to do. And of course, each thing that happened, each symptom, I thought, well, it's just the stress that I'm under, or it's just panicky. And so I wrote it all off. But then when I um, put them all together, it's like, not really. And so by the next morning, I'm embarrassed to say, I waited till the next morning. I decided that I told Aaron, I said, we need to go to the emergency room. Because one thing I was feeling was an immense pressure in my chest that radiated into my throat and in my jaws, and a little bit of sweating and, all the things you would think of with a heart attack. So we went and they immediately, on hearing my symptoms, decided that they would treat it as such. And the blood work suggested that two of the primary enzymes that are elevated with a heart attack were in fact elevated. So that propelled him further. And we spent that whole day doing what you do in the hospital, which is mostly waiting, but testing. And they wanted me to stay overnight, which I did, and did another test, an echocardiogram on Sunday. Bottom line, there was no damage to my heart. I have an atrial flutter and atrial fibrillation. And those two things combined with the really kind of savage tachycardia that I had, as if my heart got beat up. And it got slammed so hard that the same enzymes that if you have a heart attack were released, but not quite as high. So the good news is my heart is not damaged. There are some things that I have a couple of kinds of arrhythmias that we'll address. I'm probably will have to have an ablation, which is not an uncommon thing. Uh, so that just tells you the basic biological part, the medical part. And then, of course, I think most of you received the email that Chris Ulrich sent, which pushed me well beyond my comfort zone. Uh, but I began to realize that my comfort zone was killing me, and that I needed a loving nudge to do something different. So that's just the story, so you know what went on. And I feel pretty good today. There's ongoing concerns with Aaron that are side by side. And in one of my conversations, just a text conversation with Peg, we were talking about how humbling these things are when they hit us, you know. She said it's very humbling. And I wrote back and I said, yeah, and if we're not humble, it will knock you down. And if you don't go down, it will crush you. It's important to listen to the signals, which I had not been doing. From last week, I just can't take it anymore. Well, little did I know, and how strange that would have been the topic last week. I also said, one of the lines that I said last week was, I felt like I'm being pushed beyond my limits on many levels these days. But apparently I was attempting reality to open an additional Dharma gate and to go deeper. And we spoke about the countless bodhisattvas as ourselves, the awakened activity of our own heart and mind when we're not grasping or resisting. And this is what I was recommending in our sitting. When you can remain fully immersed in the embodied life that you do have, and at the same time not forget who you are, that's really the core practice. And why when we chant each moment life as it is, always turning toward what is, as Joko Beck would often substitute, you know, life as it is for Buddha. That's a place we can place our faith. Last time I read a little section that they came from Nothing in the Way that Sunny Brown had written. And this one extra little section is very short, but it really got my attention. It's her own approach to this, as she says, if I were to proclaim faith in anything, it would be in reality, not humanity. I have unswerving faith in reality as it is, and its startling and naked honesty. Reality has never failed me, never misled me, never lied to me. On the contrary, my stories about it, my delusions about it, my misperceptions of it belie the unblinking truth it is forever trying to gift me. Gift me. I cherish reality for how trustworthy it is. Unlike humanity, it has no hidden agendas. It's not consumed with reinforcing identity. It's not up to anything. Reality tells the truth moment by moment in frank and florid fashion. It holds nothing back. All it does is present phenomena. Then it shrugs and says, do what you will. very nicely written. And it echoes what you've heard me quote many times is that quote from Stephen Mitchell in John Tarrant's book, The Light Inside the Dark, where, and you've heard it many times, he said, it's not all that hard to get enlightened. What's difficult is to keep giving up our sense of the world so that the world can come to us on its own terms with its vast, pitiless, loving intelligence. We return to the simplest things with an immense recognition and gratitude. Give up our sense of the world. We sit down, we sit up, we sit quietly, and actually notice as the world comes to us on its own terms with this vast, pitiless, loving intelligence, an interesting combination. It's certainly vast. It's sort of, as Sunny said, do what you will. It's not personal. And yet it's full of immense love, but that's another talk. We turn to the simplest things with immense recognition and gratitude, and thus I have. Because this has been a big wake-up call. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering. When we pay more attention to the story, the dream, rather than the space in which it's unfolding, then we suffer. My stories about it, my delusions about it, my perceptions of it. Holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Not only do we get captured by the contents of our awareness, but more importantly, we actually believe them. We believe what we think. We believe who we think we are, who other people are, what we think about each other, what we think about the world, what we think the world thinks of us. That's holding to the dream. At each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. Remember that this is Buddha activity, which is the awakened activity of your heart and mind when you're not grasping or resisting. This is nirvana, which comes in moments. A nirvanic moment is a moment in which you're not reactive or attached to your views. That's nirvana. And being just this moment, that kind of moment, compassion's way. We're remaining awake to our true nature without attempting to escape reality. Resting in embodiment with all the pains and pleasures and limitations at the same time, remembering our inconceivable nature. So these are things that were going through me because I realized the powerful and subtle ways that I was caught. How I was convinced that I could just keep going and that I could just keep going on my own. I knew it was stressful, but I've always had stress like everybody else. And I bought into the dream that I'd unconsciously held that I could have caretaking without consequences, even though I know better. And I did notice consequences in very small ways. You get tired, you get frustrated, sad, or just low energy. But my belief was these things things I could work with, and so I could just keep going. And that worked until it didn't. And apparently these little taps on the shoulder to get, attempting to get my attention weren't enough. Even the sort of baseball bat 2x4 of exhaustion and diminishing creativity wasn't enough. So I needed a Mack truck to run over me. I don't recommend the method, but my body got my attention. And there I was in the emergency room, frightened and feeling vulnerable and fearing the worst. And one text, can't remember who it was, maybe it was Peg, when I said, I cannot, or maybe Chris, I cannot be sick. This isn't supposed to happen. I have to take care of Aaron. Like, this can't happen. I could feel my attitude. I couldn't take it anymore. and my heart was breaking. But just like on the cushion, just like in the Zendo, you come to a place where there's nowhere else to turn. Only this time I was sitting on a gurney in the emergency treatment area for an entire day. And at one point, when Aaron did slip out to do some errands, I was even more by myself. So I found my phone among my things and opened it and typed one word on a tiny keyboard. I typed heartbreak. And I paused for a bit and then I continued and I just followed each moment of experience. And somewhere along the way, that experience turned. And it turned because I turned toward the deeper heartbreak that was waiting within the broken heart that I was paying attention to. Does that make sense? It went deeper. So I'll read you what I wrote. And please know that I'm not reading this to solely focus on myself or be dramatic or so you'll focus on my personal challenge. That's not the point. However, I think you do know that practice only makes sense in the context of an actual life. And this poem, if you want to call it that, I want to say something about it. It starts with me just following what I was experiencing and diving into the embodied experience I was having in that moment in the emergency room. But then somehow it guided me somewhere else across another threshold. And I discovered underneath the physical distress that got me there something of a different heartbreak. So here's I wrote heartbreak, written in the ER. The dull, sickening pressure is what got my attention. A racing heart stumbling over itself is a more familiar alert. But this blunt sensation was something new. Relentless and swelling, like water and dry earth mingling and churning as in a flash flood, finding its way slowly, inexorably, blindly searching out the low places by feel. Nothing's stopping its steady movement. And nothing did, not on that day. This intensity, not familiar pain, invaded the muscles of my chest, stiffened with anticipation, slipping silently between the ribs of my caged heart and lungs, pushing rudely up into my throat without asking permission, flooding both jaws with a strong, strange sensation that signals something's wrong. The pushy entitlement of fear, taking over without concern or consent. It was my heart that was captured and confused by this wild, rogue energy. Not by the eyes I couldn't turn away from in the beginning and still can't. Not the warm young body I sought and never left. As both our bodies transformed into something more settled and real. Not by the steadfast will and stubborn insistence I encountered saying this is what mattered. No, I'd been captured by that unexpected love years before, confused by its earthy and ordinary magnificence, irresistible and terrifying. And now it was breaking. Not the love, but my heart. A dull, sickening pressure, pushing me to the edge of the bed, over the precipice in the dark. Nothing cruel or personal, just inevitable. the precious breaking, the final vow, the final bow to you. So again, I read that very personal thing, not so you'll focus on my experience, our experience. Aaron is sitting right here listening, but so you'll focus on yours. So you might not need the same abrupt way to get your attention, so that you might be able to be with the reality, the totality of your embodied immediacy in life without forgetting that you're God, whatever you want to say about it. What do you want to say? And silence is a good thing to say. It's like John Eric.
I was just really struck by the line of the rudeness of the feeling coming up your throat, and just how it does feel rude, these things that break us, because we feel like we've got it,
Mm-hmm.
like we can handle it, and yet there's something else there to remind us that's not always the case, and it doesn't always feel welcome.
No, I said, without invitation, without consent. Mm-hmm. And that entitlement of fear.
Mm. I just wanted to share that moved me.
Thank you. That's what I'd like to know is where do we connect? Where do we resonate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mhm. That sounds familiar.
Yes. So I'm guessing that many of us were nodding as you were describing your experience in this last poem, especially Flint. And for me, it was recognition that you were speaking for me.
Mhm.
Because there's so many ways that I want to say, this shouldn't be so hard. I ought to be able to do this. I said it to a friend this morning because I woke up this morning in such deep grief again.
Mhm.
And so thank you for putting words to it. And I realized that the best way is to practice my way into opening.
Yeah, that's the invitation, isn't it?
It is. It
That's
is.
the only way I got to the turn
Yes.
by will. It wasn't by all the stuff I know.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. If I try to apply what I know, it goes down a dark hole.
No, I know a lot of
I go
things.
down a dark hole. But what I wanted to bring to you, Flint, was yesterday I was in need of some really deep comfort. And I don't know why I thought to go to this book that was created from the contemplative retreat in 2020, the February one.
Oh yeah, from the movie.
Yeah, yes. And I know Shirley was there and Pam was there and a number of other people on there were there. And So I read through the whole thing, and then I came upon, you had us do an activity, you and John, where we helped each other write poems.
Oh, the haiku.
Maybe, yes. So I came upon your page with John and Ricky, and here was yours. Cool breeze embracing around me, heart at ease, body at rest. My heart is full, joy.
It can be like that.
It can be. It will be again.
And I was focusing on the heart there.
Yes, yes.
This is one of the things that's so great about being together for such a long time with so many of you. We can remind each other.
Yes. So thank you for reminding me.
You
Thank
remind,
everybody for reminding me.
Stephanie, so good to see you.
Good to see you, Flint. It's good to see you not in a hospital.
Yeah.
Um, so, what struck me from what you just read was the phrase caretaking without consequences. I mean, it was like it was that reminder that, again, I think I can do all and be all to all. Whether it is to my children, my grandchildren, or my mother, who I help take care of. And I want to keep denying how hard it is. I want to keep denying that I'm tired. I want to keep denying. And as much as I want reality to be different than what it is, I can't change it. It's still going to be what it is. So I loved what Sunny wrote because it doesn't lie to me. The reality does not lie. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you that I don't know if this was your experience, but I realized when I thought about that caretaking without consequences, how important it has been to me to have a small group of people. Not a lot. I have a lot of acquaintances, but just a very small group of people who I can say, this scares me, or this worries me, or this grieves me. And know that they understand what I am saying because they too have a similar experience. I think that's my fear of asking for help is that someone will say either, well, it's not that bad, or, you know, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And then, of course, I want to be fine. So I just really appreciated the affirmation that there are consequences to caretaking. And sometimes wonderful, wonderful, amazing consequences. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and you being as mature and bright as you are, if someone said to you, does caretaking, have any consequences? You'd say yes, and you would talk about it like that, and I would too. But it's the another layer of the part you actually believe deeper that, but not me. I mean, I can do this.
Right.
That's what gets us in trouble. Not that we don't know this, but it's that deeper thing that we actually believe that we're operating on.
Right. That's the story that Sunny was talking about that I tell myself about the reality that I'm different. I can do this. Someone else might say, this is too hard or I need help. But I'm going to say, I can do this and I
Or
can't.
I'm too embarrassed to
Oh,
actually admit that I can't.
embarrassed, ashamed,
Mhm.
all of that. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Ooh. Oh, look who's here. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
your background looks different. Are you in the mountains still?
I moved from 80 acres of rock down into the town of Salida. Hi,
Okay.
come see me.
Yeah, you're close by.
I'm quite nearby.
Yeah.
Um, thank you for your teaching, also for sharing such a personal example of your journey. Many of you, I'll just say, I have been broken open and thought I was drowning, and death is, yeah, a broken heart is a force to be reckoned with, is the word we use. But Flint, I would appreciate it. I appreciate the roundness of poetry. I wonder if you could tell me in a more direct or linear descriptive way about what you did in your poetic language, which is, I had the sense that you said you were broken open, and then there was an additional gate of opening, and you alluded to, I think, a deep and greater love. I don't know. Was it God? Was it Aaron? And do you mind my asking?
No. I mean, the first
Good.
point was about my description of the actual experience because I was just sitting there by myself processing it. And I could, when I write something like that with as much detail as I can and try to come forward with words that actually reflect the experience, that's helpful to me. So I was processing. And in the middle of it, I talked about what was broken. And then I said, not the love, but my heart. And um, then I was actually describing my relationship with Aaron, because there was um, that it was my heart, I said, was captured by this wild rogue energy. And then not by the looking in his eyes, which caught me and I never looked away again, or his warm body that I never left, those kind of things, or his stubborn insistence that it can be this way. It's like that wasn't, um, but trying to protect and maintain that with his struggles was part of what was heartbreaking. And he was attempting to care for me, I'm attempting to care for him. And then, oh, this is just what it's like. As he said the other day in the car, out of the blue, not everybody gets 45 years.
No. Wow, what a joyful, big thing that
Yeah,
is.
that's the lovely part. And it's all, if you take away the bad and the good, and it's like, oh, now it's this, and now it's this, and now it's this, and I'm going to stay awake to this because that's the wholesome, compassionate thing to do. That's the actual caretaking, but it isn't caretaking. It's deep compassion and wisdom.
Yeah, I'll just add, thank you. Something that came up briefly the other day, which was that many of us practiced it, the art of giving, because maybe there's a sense of power or strength in that. But the other side of that, and part of it in the yin yang and the wholeness of it, is receiving.
Sure. Yeah, and they go together. They're two sides of the same thing, and sometimes we lean to one or the other. Yeah, that's why we have the two hands.
All my love. Thank you very much. And thank you all.
And thank you for asking. Hi, Jeanette.
Hello. Oh, I can't hear my voice because I've got beast here. I'll do this.
Ah,
It's
I hear you.
um, why do we have the two hands?
Why do you have what? The two? Oh, which is giving and which is receiving.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The dual nature
So
of it.
and the sameness on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. Relative absolute, giving, receiving is there's so many of these dual natures which are actually one,
Mm.
about to.
Um, so gosh, there's so much. Last week you mentioned the ruthless furnace. So I've been with that for a week and exploring what we did in our sit, which was to meet my embodiment. Um, and then you said today my comfort zone was killing me. And I thought, oh my God, my comfort zone is killing me. So I'm used to things not working and being painful and being too hard and impossible. I think I've gotten too used to that so
Mm.
that the signals are no longer registering.
Yeah, they're signals. They're like the
I,
light going off on the dashboard in the car. It's like, oh, you need to pay attention to this.
but they've been going off for 40 years. So, like,
Yeah.
um, but this was a really helpful centering, sharing.
Good.
And
Yeah.
also, apropos of writing poetry together, my Paramitas pod, I suggested that we write a poem together. So I just threw out the beginning. We're not quite done yet. But what we have so far, I think, does speak to what people are talking about,
Yeah.
including you, which is with roots through jagged concrete cracks. The wildflower offers her golden petaled face softly to the rising sun, not asking for richer soil.
Mm.
Wild grasses bend with forgiveness in the cool breeze.
That's gorgeous and
But
very,
I'm so sorry.
no, that's fine.
Well, um, I don't want to take up too much time, but I was fine until you got to the last bow.
The last bow.
Bow.
You, yeah, I kind of turned it even more intimate right towards the end. Yeah, because that's how it felt to me as I was writing it. I didn't think about writing that. You know how it goes.
I just can't bear the inevitable loss. I just,
You can't alone. So we have to hold each other. I'm with you. The giving and receiving thing that we were just talking about. It's like if I'm truly going to lose like this, I need you. Please be with me. That's why I'm here today, even though I could have taken another day of rest. Like I need you. And I need someone to receive what I'm living with. Not so it'll focus on me, but so we'll come together in a way and it's everyone's turn. Thank you. Good evening, Lynn.
Just wanted to say thank you. And come up because I wanted to do what you're doing, which is to offer myself at my most vulnerable. My husband Peter has just had a heart operation today.
Oh, today. Oh.
So all
Mm,
that you were speaking of
it's quite
is very close, yeah, and very raw. And
Is he doing okay?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So in intensive care, and we'll see how it goes.
Sure. Sure. Well, I'm glad what is his name again? Peter?
Peter.
Peter, that's right. That's what I thought. So we can remember him and you.
Mm. And I knew that if I came this evening, if I was able to it would be a place where I could be vulnerable and be held
Mhm.
and feel the love.
Yeah, to place all of this on the altar,
Mm.
this altar.
And I'm so pleased to see you.
I think it's wonderful to see you and hear your voice.
Mhm. So that's enough. I will cry. Thank you.
Me too. Right ahead.
Let's see if I have a voice. I so adore what Zoom offers us to connect. I want to touch you right now. I've been
That'd be
holding
nice.
my face.
That'd be nice.
Fall into somebody's arms. Touch Aaron.
Mhm.
Call you dad.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right there.
Yeah.
And I wish I had a question, but I just wanted to express the love and what you
Do
mean to
just
me.
fine. That's what's needed right now. That's the healing balm.
So,
Have our hearts beating together.
yeah.
Mhm. You become the someone that I'm loving, someone I'm connected with. We become the pacemaker
Yeah.
for each other.
So, love you.
Love you too. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Ah,
Well, there you go. Yay. Been a while since I've seen you, Norma.
I know, I know. What,
I've seen you, but I haven't heard you,
you know, it's a joy to see you. Truly, truly. I had a word for the all out part of you, Flint. You got
Yeah.
this all out. I'm going to go all out. You know, and we love him and we honor him and he does great stuff and I'm glad he decided to take a little break.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, it really helped to have the courage of your good friend,
Yes,
Chris.
yes, she's good. Mhm.
She is. She's willing to tell the truth with compassion.
Mhm. Mhm. And to her esteemed teacher, too, no less.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to say, I also was in the hospital over Independence
Oh,
with I had appendicitis,
oh,
and you know, and the suddenness of it was, you know, kind of existential. It was I couldn't do the regular laparoscopic because I've had a lot of abominable surgeries.
yeah.
And so the hard part is the surgeon comes back the next day and she says, never have abdominal surgery again.
You're
I
done.
knew now what I knew then, I would have sent you home with antibiotics, you know, so it makes you feel like hamburger heaven inside of me, but you know, kind of vulnerable. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, being vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
I had a lovely roommate, retired nurse, and a shaman. And quickly we were telling each other our life stories. And then her day nurse comes in. My roommate was there. She's a cancer patient. The nurse is a cancer survivor. So we're sharing her life story.
I agree.
Right. Our night nurse was this wonderful, you know, dynamic, giving. And she's telling us her life story about, you know, how she's adopted and her birth mother gave her away, but not some, anyway. So it was this quite amazing thing. And we talked about meditation and some people would, the nurses said, she said, it's really nuts out there. When we need a break, we decide, let's go see how Jan and Norma are doing.
Well, you know, what you're telling me is the everyday story of that extravagant story from the Lotus Sutra. These are the bodhisattvas emerging up out of the earth, you know?
Yes, I thought of that. I thought of that. And, that certainly everybody is so deeply vulnerable in a hospital. And I felt that there I was with my like super hat hair, and my no makeup and my hospital Johnnies, feeling very exposed, I guess.
Mhm.
But in spite of that, people were really relating to each other at a much different level. And
Yeah, no, not many masks because you haven't put any of them on.
right, unmasked. And it was a little odd mini retreat, many of us felt.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was in a small one myself and something came out of it.
yeah. But anyway, I'm just, love to you, love to Aaron.
And are you healing up okay from your appearance? Good. Thank you, Norma. It's good to hear your voice and see you. Like we're walking down the corridor. Which hospital room are you from now?
I'll give you the.
Bandage off.
I can talk. It's getting much better.
Good.
So not the recovery road is obviously as long as it needs to be, as long as it will be. I'll give you the cliff notes of what I was going to babble about. I guess first is boundless love and metta for being a member of the AFib club. Not really fun. And yeah, your heart, my heart, from me to you. And I guess I want to, as succinctly or completely as I can say, is to thank you for being a light and thank you for being a mirror.
Well, if I can do that in some measure, then I'm doing the work I should be doing.
You're doing the work that you should be doing, and you're on the clock even when you're just sitting.
Apparently.
So thank you. And
Thank you.
you know I'm there, I know I care.
Blessings on your healing too. My invitation to sit in the midst of our everydayness in our body and our life and still remember our Buddha nature is really echoed in the verse of the robe that we're going to chant now. Think of it in that fashion. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of interaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Thank you for being there so I could show up. It was helpful. And thank you for the ongoing support. It's very touching and difficult to, in some ways, difficult to receive. So I'm on a practice edge and I'm doing my best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roshi Flint, and thank you, everyone. Appamada's programs and facilities are supported by your generosity. There's a link in the chat if you'd like to make a contribution. And if you make a contribution that you'd like to go directly to Flint, please make sure and indicate that on the field. And now if you'd like to stay, Cassie will be leading us for some after inquiry conversation. Thank you.